Welcome, everyone, to the Crystal Chronicles, your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast. This is episode 165, recorded on September 2nd, 2021. We are live on Twitch at the Crystal Chronicles. Thank you all for joining us live. Thank you all for joining us wherever you are viewing this, Twitch video on demand, YouTube, your favorite podcast apps. Please, wherever you are, like, follow, subscribe, support us, join our Discord. We really appreciate all of your support. I'm not alone. I'm Mark, by the way. It's nice to be here. I'm also with my co-host. It is Mino Spellgood. Mino, how are you doing today?
I'm doing so bad, Mark. It's that time of the year where my birthday's coming up, and I invariably every year have this like midlife crisis around my birthday, realizing the passage of time. I drank a lot this morning. That was not good. It's little past 5 p.m., 6 p.m. now, and I'm hungover as shit, but the show must go on.
Yes, the show must go on. Well, you may notice that our other co-host, Arole, is not here tonight. Arrow is stepping away from the show, but remember, she is streaming on Twitch herself. She has been picking up some steam on Twitch, and she's also on YouTube. She's still in our Discord and connected to us in every way, but she also got a new job, and so we congratulate her there and support her in every endeavor. So do follow her on Twitch and on YouTube, and you can keep up with everything Arrow is doing, whether it is Depot related or other games. So at least for the immediate future, it will be just Mino and myself on the show. We have not decided to replace Arrow with anybody in the immediate future, and we're not necessarily looking for a new co-host at this moment. So we're just going to enjoy the two of us for a while, and we hope you do as well. And that's not to say that there might be other people joining us in the future. So, Hutton Fenny, thank you for the subscription, Tier 1 subscription, 2 months. I appreciate that. J.A, we have been asking you to come on the show for years, I believe. The invitation is open for our humble mod, J.A or J Dota, as Mino would say. We'd always look forward to having you on the show. The worst of the hoarders, actually, we have some secret hoarders among us, and so J.A may be the hoardiest of hoarders among us, with his measly 2 million gems or whatever he's at now. So, speaking of millions of gems, there's been all kinds of things going on in the game. Several bugs. If you look down on your inbox, if you look under the game update and addressed issues, there were several addressed issues here. There were several bugs, and there were some last week as well, that were fixed up. There were some bugs with Kuja and Core and everything else. So they have gone through, and with this last maintenance and game update, they have fixed a lot of bugs. Again, if you see new bugs, because with every update there does seem to be some new bugs in the system, just make sure that you take note of it. If you can take a video of it and send it to the main Discord feedback section, and they are pretty good at listening. So thank you for everyone who does that. Yes, Anthony, we will talk about that beautiful infographic a little bit here later. There's lots of costumes. Last week we had no costumes. This week we have all the costumes. Locks, Vaughn, Kefka, Arden, Yuna's old costume, all rerun costumes. And then Yuna's new costume, the wedding dress costume, is available as well. I'll put that up on screen so you can see it if you haven't seen it before. Mino hates it, apparently. I thought it was a pretty good-looking costume. That's why I bought it. Yuna's one of my favorite characters also.
Hard disagree. Come on. White wedding dress, that's pretty plain. I don't know. A lot of people like it, but Mark, I was having this conversation literally yesterday.
Yeah.
If you buy a car or anything else in white, that's the cheapest price because that's literally without paint. And so you could buy a white car and custom paint it yourself, but either way, white, that's the worst color. Don't buy anything in white, Mark.
I think white is more symbolic than anything else, but yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Even worse. That means I don't even want to get into the virgin fetish thing about a white wedding dress, Mark, but I'm pretty sure that's even worse.
All right. Hey, Livestream Defo, thank you for the gift sub.
Mark just blew past me. Go ahead.
Everybody check out the live stream. That is Monday night. A group of wacky guys get together. That would be Type Zoe and Raw Life and Blartanyan, or Blart Defo. And they stream, and then I think they share that. That's on Raw Life's, or the live stream, Twitch, and then Blart shares it on Blart Defo YouTube. So check that out. I did catch this week's. It has been, I've not been able to catch it. So I did catch this week, and a good job. The three of you have some nice synergy. So check that out sometime. Thank you, Worry Chad, for a sub to J.A, our humble mod. JD Terraforce, thank you for the sub. Wedding Una, need to buy it. I think it's a good looking costume. Story wise, it's a little awkward, right? Because it was not the best time in her life.
Yeah, you're all terrible
yeah,
people.
It's terrible.
At least a lot of you guys subbed in protest. So.
But I'm gonna once we get Seymour's LD, I'll be reliving my Seymour wedding. C-Sam, thank you for the gift sub. Appreciate that. So
this is a good conversation. Look, chat's blowing up, Mark. We shouldn't have.
Yes. I'm just sharing. So was not. Hey, we don't know that. Nothing happened on screen. Evil Kong, you didn't watch. So Mino is a virgin. So wow, ouch. Yeah, no, I mean that's traditional in weddings to wear white. I haven't been to a lot of weddings where brides are not wearing white unless they're not wearing dresses at all. I mean maybe some off white, just a little bit of sin. Just third base. I don't know what that refers to, but yeah. Oh, Resfoina was actually going to stream in her Una cosplay. I didn't catch that, so you'll have to check out our friend Resfoina. I know that she got a Una cosplay, so I'm sure that was a lot of fun. Seymour seemed like a consent kind of guy, right? But it was he did ask. She did agree to it, right? It was a political marriage. Go play Final Fantasy X. You can get it. It's available on your PC or on some Playbox. You get on the Playbox. I don't know if you guys play on the Playbox, the games, but go check out Final Fantasy X. It's a good game. I think it holds up pretty well. So we also got rewards from the live stream co-op, and I just want to take a minute here to acknowledge that Squex Crystal literally shouted out during the community stream, like, do they ever not get the rewards? That was the best part of the stream, as Joshua was trying to be the good PR person and be like, it's possible we may not get the rewards someday. Obviously, you won't. We all know that it's just a thing, right? But that was hilarious. That very innocent question. We love Squex Crystal, bringing a little levity to the Squex community stream.
I'm sure that wasn't intentional, but
no, not at all. So speaking of the Squex community stream, that was last Monday, and there was a few things to mention. It was a pretty uneventful Squex community stream. No surprises, nothing, no GL firsts on the way, etc. But Joshua did acknowledge that he had read the feedback about the Setzer banner, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and that he was going to go through all the comments after stream and read all the comments in stream. That must be a terrible job to have to do, because I've watched that Squex community stream Twitch chat. That's awful. But he said, I read it all, and I kind of send things to the dev team, to the higher ups. Joshua's the PR guy, and so he's the ticket, the support ticket guy. So he sends it all back, and so he did share that he was going to share the community's disappointment in that triple LD banner. Obviously, no promises were made. Obviously, nothing was said. Oh no, we were wrong. This was dumb. He didn't say anything like that, but he did acknowledge it, so I don't know if that makes you feel better, Mino, or not. But
I mean, what else was he gonna do?
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Ignore it. I mean,
yeah,
that was the other option.
I guess I thought it was cool just because I've been saying more communication is better.
Yeah.
Any communication's better than none. So, like, what am I gonna do? Get upset that he addressed it? Like, at least they're telling us they know about it instead of not saying anything at all, like the fucking Kadajgate thing. So
yes, Speedy Ultra is also reminding us that we did learn that Squex Crystal knows Japanese or can read Japanese, so that's very exciting. I'm not really sure why everyone was excited about that, but
I mean, I'm pretty sure assume all weebs worth a damn have some basic passing Japanese knowledge. Otherwise, what are you doing with your life playing a 4 years of a DFFOO version you can't even read? I don't know, man.
Yeah,
at least learn the alphabet. Learn the alphabet, at least. Jesus, people.
I'm not familiar with Japanese at all.
But you don't play the Japanese version.
I do not play the Japanese version of the game or any. I do not read manga. I do not. I have not been to Japan, so I don't know any Japanese people. No, that's not true. I do actually know several people from Japan. So there's that. We did get one kind of small quality of life update, the command window update. So now your command window when you do I watch Dragon Ball Z? Yeah, I've watched all of Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super, and yeah. So.
Guys, I fucked up on the poll. It was I don't know why the choice says neckbeard white gate instead of wedding. I'm hungover. I'm hungover, so
yeah. So I didn't even realize that Mino had done this. There's a poll currently in Twitch. Which Una costume is better, Gunner or neckbeard white gate? I think we all know what that is. That's appropriate. Yeah. So
I think I was saying Kadajgate as I was typing it.
So let's obviously, because we can't get up on these Una. Oh, watch out. We were not giving up on these Una costumes. So yeah, so just to give you a sense here, I have all three of them. So there's the Gunner Una. I'm not. It's fine. I'm not a huge fan of it. I think the regular costume, let's face it. I mean, the regular costume's the best, right? I think the wedding dress costume's nice. So
Gunner has flair and color. I don't know, man. Plain
yeah,
white.
But it feels weird to have the Gunner costume without guns.
Yeah, not a lot, but just the costume by itself, I think is the best.
I have all of them, so I would buy more costumes for all of her record spheres. Yeah, when singing Una when, pop star idol Una. Yeah, Mino, we'll get to that. Mino did write an evaluation. So, so that quality of life, it's fine, whatever. Probably most people wouldn't have noticed it. The September calendar, no surprises. This is the last month of no BT Plus, no Lupinia Plus. That starts next month. So we got Unicycle, Exodus Cycle. The Agrius banner is going to be with Una BT, so no concerns and no worrying about, are we going to get another triple LD banner, because that was a kind of a special campaign or special event in Japan when that launched, and it does look like we will get that special level 250 event that happened with the Agrius banner here in a couple days, so we'll find out when we do, and there it is. Now, we were expecting a change in the encouragement armor that would allow the Paladin Cecil record or refined spheres to increase the number of battery, or the battery percent that you get when you do anything that gives you battery with that armor. Apparently, we were mistaken. That happens sometimes between now and Rude's Lost Chapter. So that should still happen. So hopefully we will get that changed to the encouragement armor before Rude's LC. We don't quite know when it happened exactly in the JP timeline. So, but it's hopefully will come, because that really helps a lot of characters this month who have that encouragement armor and can use that refined sphere from Paladin Cecil to boost their battery even more, including Yuna, who we'll talk about. So right now, that is not in the game. I think that's been tested. We've made sure that is not in the game, but hopefully it will be. Yes, CSDX. What if GL never gets it? Then we'll be sad. At this point, I would not expect us to not. It's not something that's game breaking. It's for battery characters. It's not going to be something that's going to be not given to us. It's not that powerful that it's going to break the game. It's part of the game. It's part of making that armor not completely worthless, because right now it's pretty much completely worthless. So,
Did we touch on the I'm sorry, you're going a little fast. Did we touch on the command window update thing?
yes. I just said that we got that. What would you like to share about that?
Oh, just that there's a lot of complaints. Did you address that? That like when you long press, it stays
Yes.
there and you have to press
Yes.
again. I don't personally mind that much, but I think that what people are asking for is like an ability to toggle that in the options.
Oh, okay.
That it like freezes the game. But like, I mean, did you personally not like it? Because I was playing with it, and I don't think it's that big a
I
deal.
didn't. I mean, I noticed it as I was playing today. Yeah, when I pressed on a skill a little too much, or a little too long, it popped up the command window. Yeah, so I mean, it was a little annoying, because I wasn't trying to click on the skill. I was just trying to use the skill, and I just pressed a little too long. And so, I mean, it was like, oh, okay. But once you got used to it, it was fine. As opposed to having to hold on it to pop it up, you can just hold on it and then it stays there until you unclick it, basically. So, yeah, I mean, I can see some people really being bothered by that. So
I personally do actually prefer this new one, so I would like a toggle to choose whether you could
yeah,
have this or not. Because for me, I like just long pressing for a
yeah,
second and then letting go.
Jovial
Yeah.
Roger makes a really good point, and I think this is probably where I came up with it most of the time. When you're clicking on a action, when you're holding down on a skill to see where you would get in the turn action, in the turn order, then it pops up the command window. So every time you did like cheer, or tried, or Esna, because cheer's instant, but Esna's not, but it's fast turn, so it can jump up. So if you hold down on Esna, it pops up, and you're like, oh no, it's not really what I wanted to do, right? So yeah, I can see people's frustration. It's annoying for recording runs. I don't do that, so. That's not a problem for me, but yeah, I can understand that. So, Squex, if you're listening, can you toggle that or fix that? I don't know. Some people might like that. Does anybody like that? It feels like most people. Mino liked it. Several people in chat really not excited about it, but for me, I'm not really concerned about it one way or the other. Anything else from the Squex community stream, or just news of the day, Mino, before we get to Umbral Equinox?
Checking our notes. I don't think so. Just in case anyone, just to hammer it in with the Pestle
Yeah.
RF change. Thank you, BC, and then Gusty's channel that we use to do all this research. The change is that any passives or spheres that have Brave Gain in the name would start interacting with the high armor. Right now they're additive, right? And then that would be multiplicative afterwards. That's what the big change is.
Right.
Very noticeable. And again, before you leave the feedback, we're stressing it was spread throughout the community that was released with this event. That is not true. So it's not late yet, per se. That's it.
Yeah, and it makes sense that it may have launched with Rude, just because, I mean, he's got encouragement armor and sea spheres and does all kinds of batteries, so that does help him even more so than it helps Yuna. I mean, it helps Yuna a lot too, but she's good without it. Yuna's fine. Rude needs a little extra help if you are going to keep him through this current era. So.
Yeah.
Great auras, though. Great auras. You never can forget Rude's amazing auras. That was a joke. So we have the second part of the Equinox campaign to talk about Umbral Equinox. So we had light, and now we are into the darkness. Rude has support. Well, that sucks for him. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
BC says it's multiplicative now and
Words
becomes additive. Words don't mean anything. These are it's all made up. Language is a construct. Numbers get bigger. To quote BC, I think he was trying to do the math in his video when he was explaining it, and he gave up halfway and just said, "All you need to know is the numbers get bigger."
Yes.
So I'm just gonna
after the encouragement armor change, the numbers are bigger. So but not for Rude. So sorry, Rude, you will still be in the C tier. Sorry about that. I thought maybe you did have encouragement armor because of all the battering that you are doing. Oh, hey, Neckbeard Whitegate wins. So congratulations.
Oh, only by one. Wow.
Congratulations. Thank you, everybody. Hey, people are getting emotes, I guess. I don't know why. If you win, I guess you get emotes when we do that. That's fun. Isn't that exciting? Will Yuna battery after she joins Chase after the change? Wow.
I technically know that. BC, could you help out?
Yeah, will Yuna battery after she joins Chase? Wow, that's a good question. I have no idea. Without having played that. So only in her gunner costume. Yes, thank you. That is an exclusive feature of her costumes. Hey, speaking of which, Squex, why don't we make costumes do something? Give us a little bit more for our money.
Oh, that's a terrible idea.
No,
don't go pay to win there. But also BC's confirming yes.
Yeah, so she does now. It will just get bigger after the change. And there we go. That's where we are. So back to the Umbral Equinox. This is the second part of our global exclusive event. We enjoyed the first part. Now we're in the second part. With this, we got 2 banners. Not 1, but 2, and a free multi on both banners. The second, or one of the banners, was the banner we were anticipating, which was the second of the triple BT banner, or the triple BT banner that we were expecting first, with Vaughn's BT, Kefka's BT, and Arden's BT. So let's go over each of them. I have Terra. Terra did get high armor plus. Wow. Now I completely screwed that up. Let me see if I can try to remember what. They all got their high armor realizations. There we go. Kefka actually got a little bit of boost to his LD boards, correct? Allowing him to be a little bit more competitive in this. I think extends one of his debuffs a little bit. Obviously does a lot more damage with his LD attack. Now, I was thinking Arden got something with his LD. He did get level 80. Did he get LD boards as well?
Yeah, I believe so.
But I think he, of the 3, got the least. So now, because I wrote down the thing wrong, I'll have to go look here for a second. So, any Arden players want to share what Arden got? Because he's the one I have not used at all. But I do think he was level 70, so now he's level 80, and did get his LD board. So he should have a little bit more potency. Yeah, he gets 2 hat stacks on his LD use. Brave damage up. Free Tractor is saying HP damage up. There we go. free skill after use. So Kefka, do you want to do one at a time, or you just want to kind of go through all three of them?
Yeah, let's just go through all three.
Kefka got a little bit more than that, correct?
Yeah, they both got extra dumps on their LD. Vaughn did too, actually. So they all got extra dumps on their LDs. They all get like buff extensions on their LDs. Like Kefka's now applies the 3 big stat downs that his S2 does.
Yeah.
Arden has more hats. I don't know what Vaughn's doing.
I do know what Vaughn does. But okay. Hyperdrive, Kefka's LD drops the Light of Judgment debuffs.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kefka gets HP damage up based on debuffs. So based on total number of debuffs. Again, they all get their high armor realization. They are all now 80 and have Vaughn is the worst. Recently released friend support. Or is Vaughn the worst recently released friend support? I'm not a big fan of Vaughn as a friend support. We'll talk about Vaughn. So Vaughn gets the most of the three. He actually gets a rework. So his skills, skill 1 and skill 2, become much more powerful. The big thing is now it only takes 2 uses for them to be fully realized. So they are doing... we got a CSAM. So Q&A from CSAM. Who does more damage now, Tifa or Vaughn? We'll talk about that here in a second. So let's hold up to that. Vaughn does some extra splash damage on skill 2. Maybe on both of the skills here. I want to say it was just on skill 2, skill 1. So both the skill 1 and skill 2 become upgraded. His LD gets a lot more damage, and at the end of the day, that's enough to make him really, really pretty powerful. So if you're not familiar with what he's doing in terms of just magic damage, the first time he hits his skill 1 or skill 2, it's not doing a lot. I mean, it's doing a lot of damage, but it's doing a typical skill damage. The second time he gets the upgraded version, doing significant damage. The third time he uses each of the skills, he does the basically final version, and they are doing a ridiculous amount of damage. The original version of Vaughn, back in his early days, you had to basically only have 1 use left of the skill to unlock that kind of super version of the skill. So basically, if you just want to go real quick with Vaughn, you can do White Whirl, which ends up doing usually a little bit more damage, and also inflicts the defense down in the 100% blind when it's fully upgraded. You can use 2 versions of that, then then go into his LD, which then gives him 3 turns of basically free skill uses. He's not an instant turn character. He's not consecutive turns, so he is basically 1 turn, wait, 1 turn again. But every time he hits his skill 2, it is just major, major damage. I think I've gotten him up close to 900,000. Without really trying to do it. So there's a little bit of ramp up. You can pretty much, depending on the fight, avoid pressing skill 1. Skill 1 gives him the attack up. Depending on who you bring, you might not need it. But so if you really want the attack up, you can hit skill 1, and then you can go into the skill 2, and that's going to be doing a little bit more damage. I think it has same number of brave hits, but it ends up doing more brave gains, and then it does the splash damage. So, and more HP damage up as well. So that's why that one's doing a bit. So he really does do a lot of damage, and he is competitive definitely with Tifa. I think Tifa's, oh man, I don't know. I don't know if Tifa's it would be interesting to compare them side to side, who's doing extra damage. Again, we're at a weird point in the game too, where my Vaughn versus your Tifa might be doing different things. And that's not just arts and spheres, that's based on blue armor. So, full blue armor Vaughn versus full blue armor Tifa, probably in the immediate, like in a shorter fight, Tifa is going to be able to do more damage faster. In a longer fight, Vaughn does not run out of skill abilities. So Tifa's never running out of like skill 1, but she will run out of her LD, which is her major. So every time Tifa does her LD, she's doing, let's say, 750,000 damage, which is a lot. Every time Vaughn's doing skill, his upgraded skills, he's doing that or more. And he can do that pretty much forever. So, I mean, at the end of the day, longevity, if you need a little bit longer of a fight, Vaughn is gonna be doing better. He also does have a little bit of splash. It's only like 20% on his skill too. So, somebody was asking, is skill 1 better single target? I don't know that skill 1 is better single target. I think actually, skill 2 may still be better on single target. And I mean, you're also getting the debuffs with skill 2, but either one, it's pretty big numbers. Pretty big numbers. They both have 3 dumps. Somebody was saying they have, I believe they both have 3 dumps on the upgraded version. So 20% of 900,000 is a lot. So really it says so. Unless they resist, not even if they resist, it just doesn't seem to matter.
It really
he burns.
Doesn't.
He just burns through it. Even if they absorb, it's been awful to watch it. So, but he does have elements, right? So it can be an issue. And you don't necessarily get the same benefit by enchanting him as other characters. Well, like Tifa, you could enchant her, right? So he definitely gets the biggest thing, but all 3 of them get a little bit of a boost, and I think all 3 of them are fairly viable in terms of wanting to kind of use them, although Vaughn is doing a ridiculous amount of damage. I think of the 3, these are not new characters. Of the 3, Arden probably got the least and is probably the hardest to continue to push through. He would need the most help getting through future content because of Kefka's unique debuffs, the HP silence. He still has uses in current fights, and then Vaughn is just big fat damage. So, it is what it is. So, Mino, what are your thoughts on these 3 characters? And I know you pulled on this banner.
I strongly disagree. I think Vaughn wins the damage competition very easily over
Tifa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Tifa's LDs are more limited.
Yeah,
Vaughn's getting that much on all the skills.
Yep.
Vaughn has a BT. Vaughn's getting a BT plus. His 2 biggest traits that I don't think you mentioned was the Aura Imperil's huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's that lets you take care of that Infinite T5 without Barts, right? You have to hit Wind Weakness and they're immune to Imperil.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff like that. So Vaughn's Aura Imperil is huge utility that I think people are overlooking. Not only that, but his ultimate weapon is the Bravery Fund on his skills.
Yeah.
And that's why it honestly doesn't matter if he's resisted or absorbed. Because there's been videos showing that as long as he has proper support, like Porum, or if he's batteried to full and he's unleashing his skills, even if they absorb his stuff, he's still hitting max damage. Because he'll dump, get the full refund, dump again, back to back to back. So that's why he works in teams that no, he works against any enemy, and with his Aura Imperil, he'll never actually get absorbed. Right. Null is best, and as people are saying, you run him against the imps that do heavily resist his elements, he's still gonna cap. So there is no stopping Vaughn, and that's his best utility, is that even moving forward, as long as he gets the right batteries or Brave Gain up with Porum or Agrius or Ishtola coming up, he's gonna cap all the time. And BT units. So I think that's way stronger. Yeah.
Yeah, and he will potentially Tifa will get a BT, but we don't know that she will or when she will. And does he have?
You're right.
Does he have? Does he have his BT plus yet, or is
He
it
does
coming?
not. He does not.
Yeah.
He
So,
does
but
not.
it's on. He'll get a BT plus, and so his BT effect could use a little bit of help, and so he'll be useful again, I'm sure, in the distant future. When it comes to Tifa, I think because Von takes a
Everyone
few.
thought has his BT plus. I'm very wrong today. He just
I
got it.
thought I
Last
thought
Movie
he
Pass.
got it. Yeah.
God damn
So. Tifa Von takes a few turns to ramp up currently, right? So Tifa can kind of spam and get some early turns. Plus, she launches and delays, and so it depends on the fight. I think you could make an argument for Tifa, but I think overall, right, Von is clearly doing a ridiculous amount of damage on his base skills, as opposed to on a limited LD. His LD's
it.
doing great.
Yeah.
His LD's doing good damage too, and he's got 4 uses of it. But his normal skills, which he will run out of them. How many uses you get? 3 uses every time you hit the LD. You start with 6, but 2 of those are kind of so you get 4, and then
4.
4 and then 12. So
BT if you
10,
need it.
10,
Great.
10, 10 nukes of each skill. So you're not running out of skills. And that's not total skills. Total skills would be 10 plus 4, 14 plus 4, 18. You never use his EX. Don't ever touch his EX.
What I gotta say is that I don't like his kit. It doesn't feel like it flows. Everyone in chat saying avoid half his kit. They're like
Yeah.
never press his EX. Try not to press his S1. It feels like this kit has no harmony, no design, and they just patched it up by putting big numbers on it.
Well,
It
right.
really messy.
At the end of the day, he is the EX that bad? It's just yes, the EX is bad.
You could flat out remove his EX from your bar.
So yeah, it should not be on your first page. Let me tell you that. So the only thing, so the EX is not doing good damage. First of all, it's just not doing good damage compared to all of his other things, right? And the only thing it gives you is the flight to freedom, which he gets from everything else. So he gets that from his skill 1, he gets it from his skill 2, he gets this from his LD. So you don't need to use the EX. So don't use the EX ever for any reason, because you are not going to run out of skills, even if you only, and so I can understand Mino's issue, even if you only do skill 2. So even if you only do skill 2, he starts with 6 uses of it. You need to use 2 of them to get you use 1, that's the base version, 2 is the plus version, 3 is the kind of plus or whatever they call it. I think it's just, it's regular, and then whatever they call the second one, and then the other one is plus. So yeah, you get the plus version after 2 uses, but the second attack is a little bit because you get the max brave up. That's why. So you have to use 2 times. So that leaves you with 4 uses, but then you have 4 uses of the LD, which give you 3 free uses of skill 2. So that's 12 more uses besides the 4 you got. So you have 16 uses of skill 2 plus 4 uses of the LD. That's 20 uses, plus you had to use 2. So that's 22 skills Von is using. 22 skills without touching his EX, without touching his skill 1. And you can use skill 1, right? There's no reason you can't use skill 1. But
yeah, I mean, people are saying it's better single target, and that's true. But I mean, does it? I'm sure it'll matter down the line. Right now, it's press buttons.
Yeah.
And as
so he is one of the easiest LD characters to play, because all you need to do is do. I mean, we literally don't. You don't have. There's no like variables, right? Right now, you can pretty much get by skill 2, LD, skill 2, skill 2, skill 2, LD, skill 2, skill 2, skill 2, LD. And, if you want to burst, then you burst whenever you can. His burst effect's not particularly long, so you're probably going to use somebody else. It's only 4 turns.
Big damage. It's nice.
It is. And it's the Brave can't drop below 20%, right? So.
Yeah, and as Aurelius
it's a big damage
out,
phase, with extra skills.
Yeah, as Aurelius points out, he's right. I guess this is pretty true to his game, right? Because I mean, most of FF12 combat for me was just mashing buttons during the fucking mist phases, and that's like the boss fights, right? You go into mist and just hitting the buttons is hard as you can, doing a lot of damage. So I guess that is good design. I'll take that back.
I'll take that back. It's excellent. Good job,
Yeah.
devs. Good job. But it's, every once in a while you just need a big damage dealer, and Von is it. I blued my Von, and he is doing. Yeah, I mean, like I said, without much. Now I didn't use him at all in this whatchamacallit, this fight that we're going to talk about here in a second, but he's doing big damage. A lot of damage. So
Yeah.
Anything about Kefka or Arden?
Fuck them.
Yeah.
But I did really want to hammer in. I really don't. I think Vaughn's a really good unit. I don't think he's just damage, because I really do think that Bravery Fund and that Aura Imperil will be very strong moving forward if you want to swing it. I really think like he is gonna hold up for a long, long time. Kefka is cool. Arden is not. Not much else to say about them.
Yeah, Arden is definitely the weakest of the three right now. That's for sure. Well, looking at the podcast polls, if I can go to, and thank you. First of all, of course, TonberryTroupe.com. You can check out all the infographics for all the characters we're going to talk about. Nice infographics for Von, Kefka, and Arden. And then thank you to Quetzalma and J.A for doing our podcast polls across 9 servers, 14 people. We're going to pity a BT on this. 7 using gems, or to LD pity. 15 using gems above that. 21 tickets and 150 skipping, myself included. I know Mino went to pity to try to get these as well. So always check in on your podcast polls and let us know how you did as well. Well, that brings us to the second banner, which is the infamous, at this point, Setzer banner, which we were all waiting for. Unfortunately, there was no BT. In Japan, this banner was Setzer and Waka on Tidus BT. In Global, it is a triple LD no BT banner with Waka, Setzer, and Emotes. Waka and Emotes are rerun LDs. They don't get anything at this point in the game. Setzer, however, gets a new LD that we need to talk about. Again, TonberryTroupe.com has the infographic and some notes about how to play Setzer. Setzer did get a rework. He didn't necessarily need it, but it's nice to have.
He did. Yeah, he did.
No, you know what?
He did.
Just his LD. Is
I mean, you can
nice.
even tell. I don't know if you've been using him much.
Yeah, no, I
you
not
can
much,
even tell, like, with his update, his damage is still very subpar. He's definitely a hard support. He's there to make if he caps everything, he'll struggle to hit like 100k on his own.
Yeah, with blue armor, Setzer, even with his, so skill 1 and skill 2 were reworked. Even with his blue armor, he and his rainbows, he's probably not doing more than 120,000, right? For each opponent. With skill 1 and EX and LD and skill 2 single target, right? So, but that's not why you bring Setzer. You bring Setzer for his LD, which summons his airship and gives himself the buff Fixed Dice for 9 turns, and gives his allies the buff Fixed Dice for 6 turns. And what does Fixed Dice do? Well, it gives you rainbows. And what do rainbows do? Rainbows is max brave damage. Now, it is based on the number of turns remaining. So the less turns remaining, the less chance you are to proc rainbows, but it is for every brave hit you do. So if you have a whole bunch of characters with a whole bunch of brave hits, they are going to proc. And that is, again, it's max brave that you can do. And so if you have a blue armor character, they're going to do over 100,000 or do over 10,000 for their brave hits, depending on their blue armor or anything else, any other party buff. So we've talked about him a lot. Other than that, I mean, his base kit is the same. He does get the ability to freeze enemies brave with his freeze. He does have that limited delay Again, his EX is probably his weakest, but it does battery. It's not. I guess you wouldn't really consider it a battery. It sets allies brave to whatever the max brave is. So there may be, and it does extend.
I think it batteries before it does that too. Right?
Does it battery? It does
I'm pretty
brave.
sure
It does brave hits.
Oh, okay. I thought it would battery and then set it. I don't remember. I thought that was how it used to work.
But so there may be times that you would like to use it, but you also need to have it. I think it's the only way you get his Blackjack thing up. So you do need to use it occasionally, unlike Von. You don't need to use Von's EX ever, especially in co-op. And I'm not saying that because I've run into it in co-op several times. I'm just saying, hypothetically, don't ever use Von EX. Setzers, you do need to use occasionally, and there may be some times that you would like to use it because of that brave ability to set brave.
It's not bad, honestly.
No,
it's
not bad.
Good.
It's not doing 1 million damage.
It's one of the strongest batteries there.
None of his skills are doing 1 million damage, but he is bringing the rainbows, and of course, against bosses who are resistant to brave hits or having crazy high defense or anything else, where you are prevented from doing max brave, the rainbows are really helpful. So it's really nice. I don't know. Do you need the rainbows? Maybe. Who does he work with? Everybody who does brave hits. There are characters like Porum. He doesn't help Porum at all. If you're running a full support team, probably not the best. Obviously, people with a lot of brave hits and who can do a lot of damage, like Von. Von likes the rainbows. But a lot of characters, man. The counter characters, Core and Setzer, of course, are going to be a broken combo for a long time because Core enjoys having those counters or those preemptive strikes be rainbow strikes. Anybody who's doing counter follow-ups, Cloud of Darkness with her follow-up attack, doing the rainbow hits, very, very, very nice. Yes, lots of brave hits and action efficient, Sinewave says. So, yeah, very true, very true. Because you will burn through that buff if you're not careful. So buff extending and all that kind of stuff is nice too, if you can. But I don't know that you can extend this one. Cannot be extended. So, but yeah, so you can burn through that buff. Very good. So, yeah, bring Setzer LD, replace him for a friend unit. Yeah, and that is a viable strategy if you're bringing Setzer in the party. That was Furry Tractor, great player. You can check them out on YouTube. I believe they upload some things and upload runs. So, definitely you can swap Setzer out. He's a good person to swap out because you set that LD buff, and then your other two can go to town. So, yeah. CSDX saying Titus does not like him as much. So, I could definitely see that. I got him. We'll talk about this banner in a little bit, but just as the character, he does what we expected him to do, and I don't know how much I'll use him, but I think he's a good character to have in your pocket, and there's going to be some fights where he's going to be really helpful moving forward. But we do have Core, who can't really do the same thing, but is obviously broken. So if you don't get Setzer or don't want to pull on this banner out of protest, then there are some other options. And even without Core, people got through without Setzer. I think Black Nero didn't use Setzer a lot. So replace Setzer with Setzer Friend. That is, big thing. So big brain. So what do you think about Setzer, Mina?
I think he's great utility. There's a few things you touched on that you didn't touch. His Brave Freeze is now 3 turns per cast.
Yes, correct.
For a total of 12 turns,
12,
I believe. It's 4 casts, right? Yeah. That was a huge thing for me. I love that. And I really, really like his EX. That's one of the strongest batteries you can do because it's set Brave. It doesn't get taxed by Brave gain reduction or anything. That's for sure guaranteed Brave battery, right? You will for sure max out people's batteries, which is really, really nice. I like his whole kit. It's super support heavy. The rainbows are a nice touch too, but I think people are over overvaluing the rainbow because even if you hit the like rainbow numbers 13 times before you dump, you can only ever go so high, right?
Yeah.
Depending on your max brave and your caps and everything. Like at a certain point, you're getting diminishing returns on the rainbows.
Yeah, I
That
saw I saw a couple Setzer runs of
yeah,
the current chapter fight where my initial thought when I saw the team comps were, are those rainbows really doing much? Because I'm
yeah. Do you really need
pretty
Setzer?
pretty sure you were capping without the rainbows.
Yeah. And here's the thing. That's why I was like, people are really overvaluing the rainbows because, as you said, a lot of people who are running full synergy in meta teams, you don't. Not only do you not need the rainbows at all whatsoever, like all of that brave is going to waste, right? Like Vaughn could be sitting at like 90k brave
Yeah.
and then hit like 20 rainbows, and all of that was wasted because he literally didn't gain any brave from the rainbows.
Yeah.
It feels so, not only is it overvalued, but so then moving forward, you're going to need to carry Setzer's damage, which is only going to get significantly worse as soon as Lufania Plus gets here. And as people are saying, the Brave Freeze isn't framed, so it is easy for bosses to remove when they buff themselves or whatever. And but I still think his utility is really strong. As you said, and as people in chat are saying, not an insanely necessary character. Now that Setzer has released, people are already jumping onto the next hype train, which is Aphmau, Reigns, and Bartz.
Yeah.
Because apparently that is a very proven team that coasted through all the hardest fights in Lufania Plus. So people are already looking at the next meta hype banner and forgetting Setzer. I think Setzer ultimately is a pretty good budget unit. Like if you don't want to pull a lot in the coming months, then yes, you can inflate your damage with rainbows. And he does have a lot of great utility. But I honestly think if you're Mark, I don't think Setzer is going to do anything for Mark. Mark has plenty of resources and he's always going to have the current units. And I really don't think Setzer is going to add any value to your roster. I think I'm very confident in saying that. And as people are saying, like there's a lot of conditionals on that rainbows too. Like turn stealers, like Vayne, a lot of these characters coming up, they're not going to make super great use of it because they're going to wear out the buff. Or if you just don't have a lot of hits, you're not going to do a lot. Or if you just build a competent team with like a fat hard support like Yuna or Bartz or Ishtola, you don't need to hit rainbows all the time. In fact, they raise Brave and HP damage caps, which is arguably more important.
No.
So I really want to see how many people actually put a lot of mileage on Setzer. I feel like I'm going to get torn apart for this. I feel like he was kind of overhyped.
Well,
I'm not. Okay.
I have not used him or Vaughn on any of the 4 Lufanias that we've had since they released. So yeah, it's a pretty good thing that I'll probably use both of them on what tier 4 or when do you use Setzer tier 5. But yeah, so there'll be Dimensions End characters for me, but yeah, they most likely I will not be using Setzer. And you bring up a good point, Mino, that this is the way the game goes. People hype up, here's this character. Oh man, Setzer's Porum. Porum, she's going to carry you through Lufania Plus. Setzer's going to carry you for Lufania Plus. And guess what? The majority of people pull all the time and get by what they need. And figure it out, or don't and quit and, complain about it. But, most people are not running the same characters over and over again. Yes, I know in chat the people who always do are going to come on. Well, yeah, I run, yeah, I get it. There's a couple of you out there. The majority of Devo players, I think it's safe to say, do not lean on the same characters over and over and over again. Black Cloud saying, a couple other people are saying, good safety net. And I think Porum and Setzer, good safety nets, good characters to have against some pretty rough fights here in the next few months. that they will definitely be helpful characters to have if you are struggling and you don't want to pull on whatever synergy character the devs are pushing for that particular fight. So
Yes. But right. I think Setsu's a very hard support. You're bringing him for his utility. His damage is not a subpar, and I just really think people are going to forget about him when the next hard supports come out with the BT pluses and can do a lot more than he can. He's great for hoarders, as people are saying, because you can circumvent. He's just not a first choice going forward. Like, yeah, you can fall back on him. Right. If you don't have the characters, you can fall back on him, but he's just not like I really doubt he's going to be a first choice for many. But I think his gimmick is really cool. I do think his kit is very cool. I'm just saying power-wise, I think he's very overhyped. And I think a lot of people pulled him in Porum and will probably not be using them as much as they think in Lufania Plus. 100%.
I pulled both of them, and I don't expect to use either of them at much. or at all.
I've used Porum over the months
Or at all.
coming forward, so she was worth it.
Yeah, I don't expect to use either of them almost ever. But I do have them, and if I need to use them, they will be there. So, hey, well, looking at that Setzer banner, which did you did you want to talk about that now, or did you want to talk about that later?
Let's talk about that later.
Okay. We'll come back to the the banner itself. But looking at the podcast polls, speaking of protests, 3 people pitying the BT. So that's, yeah, good job on that one, guys. You're really some passive aggressiveness on the podcast polls, I see, pitying the BT. 45 people pitying the LD. 15 people wantingly using gems, 96 tickets, and only 24 people skipping, and I assume many of them are lying. So maybe you got it on the free poll. Oh, so hey, well, Mino's getting a drink of water, and we will transition to these 3 Lufania fights again. This is the second part of the Equinox campaign. We did get Chaos Fight, a challenge quest, some co-ops with this, so make sure you clear the co-op shop. There's also some chocoboards that are going with this campaign as well. We have about a week or so, maybe 10 days on those. But we have 3 new Lufanias. They are Lockout Lufanias, Perfectum Lufanias, so you need to do one perfectly. To get all of the rewards, you need to use 3 different teams, 9 different characters, get all the missions perfectly, and then you unlock all the rewards, including some extra books and high armor realization material, so we are thankful for that. There are 3 of these. I felt like they were a little easier than the the last ones, but we'll walk through them. You can always go to DissidiaInfo.com, and that's our friend Magnol works that website, and there are boss guides for each of these fights for every Lufania, and there's also the Call to Arms, which is a list of video guides from many of you and many other people who compile that as well. We also have TCC challenges for many of these fights, just as a fun thing to do if you want to try to make them a little harder. So the first fight is Twilight. Just looking on my screen there. Yes, the first one is Twilight. These are the Prompto bosses, the Sergeant Imps, these clockwork imps. Their Lufania orb starts at the beginning of the fight, disappears at 79%, and reappears at 49%, appears when one of them is killed, if you kill one before the other. They have to act to tick up the orb. That is the thing. You have to give them an action. If they act, they get +5 to their orb. It limits at 10. So you have to continuously let them take an action. They do absorb holy, and they are strongly resistant to magic. You'd think that would bother Van. I don't think it does. I think people used Van here as well. These are the bosses that kind of switch back and forth. They throw up buffs to each other, including a shield buff to each other. So they have a shield that can go back and forth. They do have some pretty nasty attacks, and they switch. If you really want to count it, I think it's every 10 party actions they take turn switching. They also get this red aura that will trigger for one of them at 79% and 49%. It's very hard to damage them with that aura up. The only way to break that aura is to let them take a turn. They do cleanse several times throughout this fight. Are there thresholds for the cleanse? Trying to remember. Or is it just after the red aura attack they cleanse their debuffs? Yeah, I think it's after the aura attack they do that. So pretty nasty little critters. Quite a few different ways to go about this. Obviously, they are self-buffers, so if you have a Dispel character, that can be very, very helpful. They do pretty constant damage, and they can do some pretty nasty attacks, so having some damage mitigation is really good. Or you can bring somebody like Kefka. Of course, Kefka's on the banner here. HP silence, sets her freeze, to freeze their brave. Other things, you can Elden Arch this fight as well. I brought Warrior of Light, Kadaj, and Sephiroth because I have to run Kadaj in every Lupinia because I told Squex that he was broken and I wanted him fixed. And so the internet said that I have to use him forever. And I really like Kadaj and Sephiroth as a team together. And so, with the gold debuffs and a full cadre of debuffs on them, that really helped shut them down pretty easily. And of course, Warrior of Light, I think probably the best of the tank options for this. He really does take them to task a little bit. So those are kind of my MVPs. I would say kind of Warrior of Light, definitely one of the MVPs of this fight. Kefka probably another MVP there. So am I being kidnapped to use Kadaj? I love Kadaj. He's one of my favorite characters. Mino, what did you think of the Sergeant Imps?
I think this was Vaughn's fight. This was showing off Vaughn more than anything because he ignored the red aura and the shields and just did max damage constantly. I was going to say the next fight was Kefka's fight.
Okay. I can see that.
I forget what the next fight is, but I remember that a bunch of frame debuffs shut it out. Shut out the buffs. Yeah. And so I thought this was a great fight to show off Vaughn because he cuts through all the reductions, and this was an infamous strict turn count back in the day.
Yeah.
So it was nice revisiting the fight with more broken options. That orb is way too lenient though, letting them act.
Yes.
You said wall. I did Galuf. I know others did like Gladio, Leon, like literally any tank. Literally any tank will shut this out.
Sine saying Leon absorbs every attack there. I think Bosch you can use on this. I'm not sure I saw any Celeste because they're not all magic attacks. So this was a lot of ways to overcome this this fight with those enemies which before have caused us problems in the past. So the next one is Umbral, Equinox, Dusk, and these are two Erode Mantises. And are they a boss that we fought before? I mean, we've definitely fought them before. RCLLC. Oh, okay. I didn't remember that. She's a good character to bring on this one. Their Lufania orb appears at 79% and ticks up, or doesn't tick up, I guess. It ticks up when their brave is less than 5,000 after a turn. So the only way to tick up the orb is to make sure their brave is under 5,000. There are several ways to do that. Obviously, SAP is a real easy way to do that. You can also manipulate iBrave and Max Brave by debuffs. There was some discussion about, do you have to give the bosses a turn? No, you do not need to do that. Yes, Freeze Joker, excellent Predator. Yes, Freeze Joker is another really good way to make sure that their Waka also has that ability to make sure that their brave cannot be gained. So they are immune to paralyze, fluke, lock, sleep, confuse, and terror. They are not immune to HP, silent. They do have a whole bunch of nasty. They do have a whole bunch of nasty buffs, and they have pretty high defense, if I recall correctly.
Very, very high defense.
Yeah, very, very high defense. So as Mino said, one of the best ways to do this is to have them kind of fully locked with debuffs. But there was conversation of, do you have to give them turns? No, you don't. I did a 0-turn run on them with Terra, Cloud of Darkness, and Arciella. But yeah, to be able to cleanse them and to cleanse them or just fully lock them with debuffs is definitely something that's going to help you a lot. Making sure that you keep their Brave down is the other thing that you need to do. But there are several ways to kind of burn through this without giving them turns. If you do give them turns, you just need to make sure that you're locking them down in ways that are going to be helpful. So, yeah, what did you like to add? Oh, yeah, so I used Terra, Cloud of Darkness, and Arciella. What would you like to add to that, Mino?
This was Kefka's fight. He has that potent defense down. He can HP silence lock them, which is what you were supposed to do with Arciella back in the day. Arciella, you were also supposed to dispel them. That was the orb back in the day.
Yes.
Now it doesn't matter as much. And also he does just insane brave damage based on debuffs on the target, right? So this was totally selling Kefka very good. I really appreciate the fight choices. They make the featured characters look good. And it's like specific, like like this is such a specific fight that makes them shine. So I really like the fight choices. The defense was fucking hell though. I was blindsided by that going in.
Yeah. I don't use synergy characters, so I didn't experience that. Well, that brings us.
You use synergy characters, right?
What?
You said you mean you use them, right? You said you don't use them, so you didn't notice.
I didn't use any of the synergy characters for these fights.
Okay.
So.
Got it.
So, if I had used the synergy characters, I probably would have noticed, but I did decide to not use synergy characters because that's just how I was feeling that day when I did these. So, the third fight is Umbral Equinox Noctis. I probably would have preferred Nocturne, but okay, Noctis. And they are the Argent Officiants, and these are the Agrius bosses. The Lupinia orb appears at 79% with an 8 count, cancels at 49%. It will reappear after they use globated. I thought it was. I don't know why I can't say that word. Oh, globated.
Yeah.
Crush plus when they are under 50%, and it would pop back up. If you inflict break, that is how you get them. And so to be able to break them and re-break them is the way to get through the orb. And so you can, again, burn through them. I did it with my team. Their defense is high. They do buff themselves. They do fly up. They rise. I think it's automatically at 70 or 49%. They rise up? So they rise up, cleanse all their debuffs. They gain all kinds of buffs, and that's when they're going to unleash their big attack. They also gain a whole bunch of defense, I believe, at that point, or maybe brave resistance at that point. And so it's hard to do damage to them. So ideally, you want them to attack you and absorb that attack somehow, and so they land. I just ignored that and delayed them to hell. With 3 kind of shit characters at this point in the game, and so I'm doing 20,000 damage each turn, but I burned through it and got it done. So with Garland and Aranea, who was doing the re-break, so she was upticking the orb, and I brought Kurasame because again I was just in a mood apparently when I did these, so that's how it goes. But there are better strategies than mine. So maybe Mino has the for a different take on things. Generally, I have the meta strategy. So maybe Mino can share what I should have done.
Nah, it's all the same. talking about the fights overall, people are saying it was easier. That's because they let you no turn two of them, and the one that
Yep.
let and the other one was a non-orb.
Yep.
So I don't know how I feel about I don't think if you let the players no turn the bosses, they will.
Yep.
And then they'll call it easy. So I feel like if they ever want to make fights challenging, if they push to that new difficulty, really prevent no turn playstyle. Like the famous Vayne cycle coming up is he was built to no turn, but his bosses make you let them take turns or they'll just warp and force their turn after so many player turns, which I think is a good design, but
Yeah.
a lot of people like QE hated that. So I think designing bosses to be no turned is not great design, and I think that's why everyone felt it was easier. And the other thing was we just got Setzer and Vaughn.
Yeah. Right.
And they're a
Yeah.
lot stronger than the characters we had a week ago.
Yep.
So
100%.
so like I truly think the fights were about the same difficulty. It's just that the orbs were pretty much a non-issue.
Yeah.
The other fights you really had to dance around the orbs, and that was fun. If you have an orb where it's just don't give them turns, then it's just it's gross. As you said, you can brute force through the floating phases.
Yep.
So you don't actually have to do the fight. That kind of sucked. But overall, if you want to jump to impressions, I still think these triple perfectum quests are great. I don't know how many we'll get in the future. Maybe on seasonal banners that don't have events that come with them. Hopefully, we won't see that until next month, because this month Agrius was the seasonal and she came with an event. So we're not going to see special stuff on that. I love it though. I really, really like the concept. I hope this becomes more of a regular thing, Mark.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it too. If Squex is listening, yes, I would like to see more of these. Yeah, if we had, if this was every other month kind of thing, that'd be great. I mean, it was fun. Obviously, we did get those overpowered characters, and I blued 2 of them. I'm not sure. I was probably drunk at the time. I'm wearing blue, so maybe that was the reason. There's a lot of blue on the screen right now. But I did not use any of them, and I kind of just threw random teams together and, came at it, and so, enjoyed that. And yeah, but definitely, I mean, the second definitely easier than the first, at least in our experiences. But overall, I think really good content, really good idea. Enjoyed it more than some of the last Abysses, especially with all the like random nodes that you have to burn through and the same fight over and over again, just to be able to have the 3 Lupinia fights, get it done. I mean, we love Dimension's End. We love Transcendence. Some of the early Abysses were really good as well. Hopefully Abyss can kind of move towards that again. So yeah, I mean, I think overall good content. I'd like to see more of it, and some other things similar. So yeah, great. Well, let's take a brief moment to breathe and catch our breaths. We want to have a special shout out to our dear friend 40 the Broadway Saiyan. 40 and Mrs. 40 welcomed their second child into the world, and so Zayden Theodore, welcome to the world from the Crystal Chronicles. We're glad that you are here and giving your big brother Edgeworth a hard time. I'm sure that's going to be a lot of fun. So probably good that 40 took a 40 took a kind of step away from making content on YouTube, because 2 little kids is a lot. I have 3, so I understand how that goes. Now all of them are in school, and that's pretty crazy too. Also, we try to highlight some newer content creators, and many of you are making content. Many of you are doing run videos. Try to shout you out as much as possible. If there's anybody that we've never kind of shouted out and you want to just send me a message, say, hey, have you checked out so-and-so's videos? Their commentary is really good, or they're doing something kind of creative, something different. please just DM me, let me know. Happy to shout people out. Today, I wanted to shout out Goose. Goose is a member of our community. Goose on Defo, like the animal Goose. He has been doing basically character analysis in 30-second videos. And so they're pretty punchy. He kind of goes through the entire kit in 30 seconds and kind of then zings you with a one-liner. And he has become the reverse neck lord because there's information in his memes. Yeah, so check it out. They're 30 seconds of your life, and you can probably spare 30 seconds to check out. So check out Goose on YouTube. I think they're fun, and they're pretty entertaining. So and only 30 seconds of your life, not 40 minutes that you have to endure. So
I like his stuff, man. I hope it gets big. Honestly, I think we were just having a conversation the other day where, like, 30 seconds. First of all, it's a great format that I can't believe it took us 3.5 years to finally get.
Yeah.
Because I think we were discussing that, and like a lot of other things we enjoy already a thing. Like this should have been a thing a long time ago. And it's great information, and I think the main thing is it respects your time, right? Like we always said, like once Goose started doing this, he started saying like breaking information down is really an art. It's very difficult to condense it and make it like bite size, and he's learning a lot from it, and I super respect it. Apparently he used to be an educator or something, so this is really good. But I really do think 30-second should you pulls, or no, he's not even calling them.
No, they're like character overviews. Yeah, they're not should you pulls. They're definitely character overviews, going through the kits of the characters. Yeah, we got a question, a Q&A. You can always redeem your Q&A points for a breaking news question. Dav is asking, is Agrius event an early Lufania Plus, like a preview? In Japan, yes, it was kind of a preview of Lufania Plus. We do not exactly know what we're going to get, but we expect it will probably be similar to that. Yes. And I believe there was a... No, go ahead. I was going to say...
they were testing... Go ahead. Go ahead, Mark. Go.
I was going to say I think there was a Chaos Co-op as well on that one.
Yes. They were testing Lufania Plus level stats to see how it would swing. So you're not going to see any new mechanics, but they were testing Lufania Plus level like stats, bumping the boss stats up and everything. The problem is theoretically a very cool fight. It's the same Shinryu fight we had at the end of Act 2. Yeah, that's where it was, right?
Yeah.
Theoretically, a very cool fight, but as you might have noticed, with these extra Perfectum quests and everything, if you bring the featured character it was built for, which is Warrior of Light, for this one, you're not going to deal with any mechanics anyways.
Yeah.
So it will be easy to shut down. It doesn't have crazy new Lufania Plus mechanics. They were just test driving the stat thresholds.
Yep.
But what were you going to say, Mark?
No, that. So, so you can consider that a preview, but yeah, it shouldn't be something overwhelming for you. Most of us...
sorry. Furry Tractor's saying they did test some Lufania Plus stuff by having HP threshold mechanics added where the boss did stuff. Okay.
Got it. All right. Well,
turn warps, right. Mm-hmm.
So we will, we'll experience that. We'll talk about it next week, for sure. So, well, let's move to, not the Squex community stream, but let's move to Act 3, Chapter 4, Part 1. Remember, our chapters are now broken down. This is the wrong one, isn't it? Our chapters are now broken down into 2 parts. And so this is the first part of... and it's Illuminating Dreams, I think is this one called. Let me get into it here. Illuminating Dreams. And so this is the first part of our 2-part chapter event this month. And with it came a banner with, 2 banners actually. One banner had Gao and Desh just get their high armor realizations. And one banner had Trey and Yuna. Trey only gets his high armor realization. But Yuna gets an LDBT. Again, TonberryTroupe.com. Beautiful infographic, Dreamy. They had some exclusive artwork by Yoshi. I'm trying to see how this person's name. Yoshimu Ra. Yoshimu Ra did this artwork on this infographic, and there is also an animated infographic on the website, so you can check that out.
For all of that, he commissioned the art, he commissioned the infographic, and then he commissioned the evaluation. So you can thank Ang for all of that. Anthony.
Yeah, so Anthony, thank you for commissioning the artwork and the infographic, and also Mino's evaluation, which you can check out on Reddit for Yuna. If you're not familiar with Yuna, she is now our best cleanser. And apparently people are missing cleansers, so if you haven't picked up a good cleanser and you notice that you hadn't in these last two fights from the Lufanias, she will do that for you very well. But she now becomes kind of the predominant support for a while, basically getting everything you need in a support. If you're not familiar with Yuna in her very early era in the game, she was very useful. She was never not useful because she had Esna, and against the Malbros, Esna was still super helpful. And so if you got her, I think it's just her 15 CP that gives Esna across to the entire party, clears the debuffs of the entire party. That's always been useful. So even Yuna with her 15 CP in the very early stages of the game was very helpful. Then she got Cheer, which actually gave party buffs to the party. Like, you got buffs, and buffs were super cool when they were a thing. But then that became kind of like, neither of her buttons did damage. She just really wasn't doing much to the party. And so they gave her an EX. It got Veil 4. Now she's doing magic damage. Very interesting. Now they've kind of changed her kit again. Not really changed her kit, but made her kit a little bit more viable by giving her this LD, which does dispel all debuffs. It Esna's the party. It batteries the party, does a big fat damage. It refreshes Veil 4, and it gives you the new buff, I Can Fly, which gives a whole bunch of buffs. I mean, party attack up, max brave up, HP damage up, self brave damage up. I mean, her buffs to the party are ridiculous. Her party support is top shelf right now. There's nobody competing with her when it comes to party support. The only thing that you have to be concerned about is she does not get her full potential if there are debuffs on the party. Thankfully, now Esna is instant turn rate. Cheer's instant turn rate. Esna's fast. How do we say that? It is
high turn rate.
Yeah, high turn rate. But it is also a free turn use, so it doesn't count. And Cheer doesn't count against your turn uses.
It also extends the buff, so it's not a complete waste of a fucking turn.
Yeah, it's always extended the buff. She's always been a buff extender. So that's always been something she's done. But yeah, it is there. You can use her skill 1 in skill 2. Actually, you're encouraged to use her skill 1 in skill 2. You're actually encouraged to start with her skill 2 now. And her skill 2 does burst healing now. So she literally does everything you need a support to do. She's also doing not terrible damage, and her burst effect is super awesome and makes her support even better. So she is a really, really good pickup. I would, who does she go with? Everybody. She does everything you need her to do. Even if you don't need to cleanse anything, she's still bringing all the support you need as a support character, and the healing, and the battery, and she's doing some damage on top of that. And her burst phase is not terrible either. Depending on who you partner her with, she can have some huge burst phases, which is great. The only thing that you might, looking forward, kind of think about is, Bartz has some party support with his EX or his BT plus. Y'shtola has some significant party support with her BT plus. Alfma, I think Mino already talked about Alfma coming back with her LD. So there are some upcoming options in terms of party support. But the nice thing is Yuna has a burst, unlike Alfma. So if you need a burst phase and you don't have one, she has a burst. And Yuna does not need to have a fully invested BT like Bartz and Y'shtola, you're likely not going to have both of them. And if you do have Bartz and Y'shtola, you're not going to have Zidane. You're not going to have Ace. You're not going to have Cloud of Darkness. You're not going to have Vayne. I think those are the first 6, right? I haven't done my kind of spreadsheet for the next era, but yeah, no, I mean, if you have all of them, you're going to have all of them, but you will regard, even if you have all their bursts like I do, you will not be able to green them, so you will not have that burst effect. So I really think, obviously, right now Yuna's great. You don't need her because there's all kinds of characters you can have to get through this. But she is going to be super helpful on tier 4, I believe, and a couple other fights. So but moving forward, you will be able to get a lot of use out of her, and you can still use her moving forward, and she will get a BT plus at some point and kind of get back up to where she needs to be, I'm sure, in that era as well. So I think she's great. I think you should. I think she's the winner of this month. I think she's the best character to get this month. And I'd really, hey, thank you, Jin Lee. Check out Jin Lee. He is close. Our friend Jin Lee on YouTube, close to 4,000 subs. So I think he was less than 50 subs away for 4,000. So if you haven't subbed to Jin Lee, he makes videos that are fun to watch. So go check that out, and let's get him to 4,000, and maybe he can share some of his wealth with us. But he's a little poorer than some of us, so he needs all the help he can get. So, Mino, what are your impressions on Yuna?
Cleansing, super important. We're probably going to touch on that when it comes to this fight, as I'm sure many people noticed. Very funny that Yuna is the best cleanser and the 2-week synergy, and along her cycle, there's going to be a lot of guaranteed debuffs that really fuck you up. It's pretty funny. There's a lot of rage already about this fight. I can't wait to talk about it. It's so funny. Everyone's like, I have debuff evasion characters. Why do I have to deal with this and get a cleanser? But no. It's great. Cleansing, super good. Mark says best cleanser now. Actually, Yuna's always been the best cleanser.
She has.
Yeah. Everyone else is doing it on LDs. One of them is a GL first. Wait, what'd you say about the Lufania?
No, I was just trying to find it on the map. There, I found it.
Okay. And so right. Everyone is LD based. It's really tough. She can do it on demand. Now she has an instant free turn 70% heal. That is huge. She does a lot. Her auras are great, and more specifically her BT aura is very unique in that it raises HP cap by 30%.
Oh, it's so much.
Which nobody else is going to come close to for a long time. I think Twins BT plus is the next one that competes with that. So that she has that going for her. It is big. As I said in the eval, like, people are starting to notice how much blue armor increases damage, and that raises to a maximum of 12 to 15%.
Yeah.
And she's doing 30% to both for the whole party. It is so good. Somebody asked earlier, when would you decide to use Yuna's BT over a DPS BT? If the other 2 people you're bringing are stacked DPS, you want those HP cap ups. Yeah. And then, or just more simply, if Yuna's your only BT, because at least for now, I don't think you're trying to stack BTs too heavily. And I guess if you come with the BT pluses, they can already do their stuff without going into their BT phase. So I would say, yeah, if your team's really stacked and going to benefit from Brave cap up and HP cap up, that's huge on it. So yeah, best cleanser, great healer, crazy auras. The only downside, there's a lot of discussion going on. We got to address a lot of things like preferred arts and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can.
Yeah, the only downside. So what I said is I feel like she is a great budget character. To summarize, she's coming at the tail end of an era, right before Lufania Plus, which means she's killing everyone before her, but everyone ahead of her is going to be objectively stronger. Ishtola and Bartz are very, very, very close. Less than a month away for
Yep.
Ish, I believe. Their auras are almost just as strong, winning in a lot of ways, um, except for the HP cap up, because Bartz is going to have the party aura enchant imperil, and Ishtola is going to have that fat brave gain up.
Yep.
And then they're going to have BT pluses, more stats, so double the BT effects, and no conditionals. The biggest problem with Yuna, as many of you will see going forward, and as BC has shown me through his videos and stuff, is that debuffs come a lot. Debuffs come a lot. Guys, I'm sure you're seeing that a lot, not only in the Perfectum quest and this one, but moving forward, debuffs come a lot. So I think it's extremely unrealistic to expect Yuna's auras to be at full power at all times, especially since guaranteed debuffs are going to make a comeback pretty hard too. So she's always going to have her auras deducted at some point. And then we said, well, you could bring debuff evasion. That could work, but then you're filling up a slot with debuff evasion characters that aren't going to do a lot of damage, and then that doesn't stop the guaranteed debuffs. You can bring a second cleanser for some reason just to make sure it has more uptime, but it's very conditional, and you really, really, really have to play around it to make her as strong as the BT plus hard supports coming up. That being said, I still think this month has been great for utility. We talked about Setzer's amazing utility. I feel like Yuna packs a shit ton of utility too. Like she could do a lot, and so can Vaughn. All of these characters, very cool in concept. Arts. There's some debates between double cursed and going attack and I think it's charged Esna.
No, attacked in the party buff, right? Attack and buff attack boost all.
Right. Yeah. There's debate between that or double curse. Do you have an opinion on this, Mark?
I think generally speaking, double cursed is going to be the best, but I think attack buffed attack boost all. I mean, if you're a person who's just going like primary, primary one.
Charged Esna. Am I missing something?
Yeah,
no, they're all saying charged Esna.
Yeah, charged Esna gives 40% up max brave. So. Like double cursed is the best. But if you're a person that's not going to kill yourself, the buff attack is giving 30% attack and max brave up to everybody, and then try to get as many double cursed as you can, and then stats for the other ones. But.
Right? Yeah. People are fighting over the attack thing. I also lean double cursed because. Well, first, one of them is a party aura, and you definitely want that, right?
Yeah.
And then the second one is 40% Embrave increase. Three of those 120% Embrave increase. You can stack attack as much as you want to do more Brave Shave, but her potencies aren't the best as a support. Again, don't let the synergy bias blind you. And the second thing is a lot of her damage comes from her batteries. Like, she's battering the shit out of herself and dumping it. Max Brave's a lot better for that. Gives her more refund as well. I don't think the attack is a good choice. I know some people will lean that way for Brave Shave, but I really think double curse, no contest. So we answered the BT question, the AF question. Was there any other questions about Yuna that people were wondering about?
Evil Kong saying spheres do not ever do a debuff, right? Just an aura? I mean, there are E spheres that do debuffs. I'm not sure what. Yeah,
Eris or Thancred do a poison.
That's an aura. That's an aura. That's like a sap aura. But there are plenty of, like, Vincent does attack down, right? There are plenty that actually give a generic debuff.
Oh, right. I use them for Kadaj. Ultimisha does defense, and somebody else gives attack. Yeah.
But there are some that are auras. Yes, correct. Every D sphere is basically an aura. But yeah, so if you can hammer out the double cursed, that's going to be ideal. I would prioritize the buff attack if you're a person that's not going to, worry about it too much. But hopefully we'll have some opportunity to grind some more arts. But we are getting the double, I forgot to say this is very exciting, double World of Illusion points in the artifact tokens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was going to bring it up again, and I also forgot. So did we talk about the campaign stuff we got for...
No, not really. No.
Anything exciting other than that? And double cycle quests. Is there any like login
Yeah,
bonuses
no,
or
I
anything?
mean, it seemed like the same stuff that we'd. I can check here on the podcast slides here. Thank you, Quetzalma J.A. usually put the slides from the stream if you want to look at those. GL Squeck stream slides in our Discord. Yeah, enhanced campaign, Radiant Artifact token drops 2. 13 days of login bonus. So yeah, there is some, looks like EX tokens, artifact tokens, power stones, Gil, cycle quest rewards ×2, Cactar appearance rate ×2, chocobo panel missions. So there will be some chocobo panel missions along with that as well.
So, yeah, cool stuff. The double World of Illusion artifacts.
Yes.
Something that's jail exclusive.
Yes.
JP never got it again ever.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for it. Maybe I can finish my grind now. I'm definitely gonna max out my gold artifact tokens. That's always been the goal.
Yep.
Now I can really hit that. What is it, 99,000 or is it 999,000? Either way, I'm going for it. But no, great. I'm so happy we got that. I love that so much.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to when that happens. It's currently not. I don't. When's that come live? When's that campaign start? That campaign starts the 17th. So yeah, for the last half of this month, I will have my phone on all the time and grinding that.
Oh, it didn't start yet? Fuck.
No, it hasn't. It hasn't.
No...
It has not started until. It will not start until the 17th.
Okay.
So yeah. No, that will be a lot of fun when it does. So let's go to the Lupinia, which has been, of course, the chapter. I guess we can talk about the chapter. The chapter is focused on Jet and Orin and their relationship to Tidus and Yuna. So spoilers potentially if you haven't caught up with this chapter. So it's they are in Xanarkand, and they are kind of dealing with their grief from going back to this place. I don't think Mino read the story.
I didn't, so I'll be experiencing it for the first time. Paint me a word picture, Mark.
Yeah, so Jet and Orin, if you're not familiar with the story, they traveled through their world to save their world, Spira, from Sin, this horrible monster, with Yuna's father, Lord Braska. And so Jet and Orin were his guardians, and they went to Xanarkand because that's, you went through this whole pilgrimage, and you got there, and the idea was that you were going to defeat Sin. What they realized, again, spoiler territory for this game that's 21 years old, what they realized was to beat Sin, one of the guardians had to make a sacrifice, and the summoner had to make a sacrifice and had to summon the final Aeon, which was, the life of one of the guardians, and they would become Sin. And so the cycle would repeat. And so Braska and Jet sacrificed themselves. Jet became Sin. Orin was distraught about this, because Orin thought, no, there's got to be another way. This is not right. But he let them go along with it. And so then he went to be with Tidus and watch over him until they could come back and try to save it again. And so then Yuna. So Orin comes back and kind of hangs out with Tidus and Yuna and their group. And then Yuna's on this pilgrimage again, and she's going to do the same thing that her father did. She knows, Braska knew that he would die doing this. She knows that she's going to die doing this. Tidus doesn't know throughout the entire story, and so tries to do it. So most of this story in Defo was rehashing what Braska, Jet, and Orin went through, which in the game was through kind of cutscenes and record spheres, kind of videos that Jet left behind. So they rehashed some of that guilt and everything else, and it basically ended up with, Jet was feeling guilty with letting Braska down, or not letting, like leaving Yuna without a father. And so the way that he was going to overcome that was by fighting them, and Orin was feeling bad for not making Jet and Braska reconsider that kind of stuff. So the way that they dealt with their grief and their failing was having Tidus and Yuna and the party beat the shit out of them. And after they got the shit beaten out of them, they felt resolved and better. And it ended with, and there was a little side story where Galuf was like, yeah, no, I was that thing where I was with the Warriors of Dawn and we defeated Exdeath, and they all sacrificed themselves and I was left behind, and then I helped cultivate the new era and I sacrificed myself so that they could be so there was some like, oh yeah, I've done that, and that's but then Jet and Orin resolve that they'll stay behind, go about their own way for a while, and everybody else gets back on the airship. And that was the end of the story, then with some preview for Zidane and Ultimecia. So really, again, not a lot of interesting character interactions besides Galuf and I think maybe Orin. Kryl and Jet was interesting, but pretty much rehashing some stuff from Final Fantasy X.
It sounds horrible.
Yeah.
I'm never reading a cutscene again.
The music was nice. Final Fantasy X music, very good. You got to hear the final Aeon fight, although it would have been funnier if he did turn into the final Aeon. He did not. Otherworld, yes, CSDX, that is the name of the song. Great song. The Xander Kinlin songs, also fun too. So. But yeah, our RFK saying, yeah, they kind of felt out of character, and I agree, because it's their story. It was just kind of rehashing it, so I don't know that was out of character.
Out of character?
I don't know that he was out of character, but I mean it.
Are people not used to whiny young Orin?
Going through the same thing that he went before, right? Yeah. So I mean, just kind of going back to how he had been, right? Yeah. So
too many people only think Orin is the fake cool old guy. If you watched all those flashbacks,
oh yeah, no, he had some.
He was a little weenie.
Yeah.
If Braska didn't have Jacked along, he would have been fucked.
I was actually thinking about this though in terms of character development. One of my problems with like Final Fantasy XII is there's like almost no character development among any of the main cast.
12?
Yeah, 12.
You said besides 12 there's no development?
No, I said including 12. I feel like most of the main characters really don't have any story arcs that move their personality anywhere different from the beginning of the story to the end of the story. Again, I love the world of 12. I think the world of 12 is very, very well developed, and I think it's an interesting world.
Ash didn't want to kill people anymore.
Yeah,
revenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Bosch.
Yeah, what about Bosch?
Yeah.
Compared to there is some character development in all of the characters in Final Fantasy X, including Orin and Jet, and I mean that's they do have some character arcs that are interesting, and so I was thinking it is nice to rehash that in one sense because even though they were kind of side characters, Orin is a playable character, but they did have some interesting character development, and most of the main characters have some interesting story arcs. Even Kamari has his own little story arc in there, probably being the least of the highlighted characters in that. So, yeah.
I know everyone's saying they're not putting Red 13 in the game because there's no character model for him. But can't they just paint Kimori red?
Yeah.
And I don't understand.
Why can't there be a character model for Red 13?
I don't know. They're saying that's probably the reason he hasn't come in yet.
There's all kinds of monsters in the game. So
use Chaos model.
You just have a monster on.
Bosch, okay, he started as a captain for one nation, and then he became a captain for another nation.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's character
Vaughn started as an orphan who wanted to become a sky pirate, and he ended as an orphan who wanted to become a sky pirate. Penelo started as a little sister kind of character of the guy who wanted to be a sky pirate, and ended up as the little sister of the guy who wanted to become a sky pirate. Larsa became a ruler. That's nice. He didn't really develop as a character. Ash was a sad princess, and then she became a sad queen, or empress. What did she become? I don't know. I don't pay attention to the end story. Belthier had a nice story arc before the game began.
Yes. Yes. Damn it! Now that you pointed this out, I hate it. I hate this now.
Do you want to talk about other Final Fantasies? Because there's quite a few that really, there's no character development whatsoever. That's not saying like everything has to have like great.
Do this post show. I want to tackle this.
It's not saying that everything has to have great character development to be a good story, but it does help when you're 50 hours into something to have a little bit. But I at least good or bad, that's up for debate. That's not what I'm talking about. There are character arcs for pretty much every character in Final Fantasy X, even some of the side characters. So even Seymour has a character arc, right? So that's something. That's something that's not.
I feel like I've always championed 10 as being one of the better written characters and story. If you take out all that stuff about Aeon's dreams, that's just bullshit.
Yeah. Besides,
that didn't need to exist.
Besides,
like you could literally. You could literally snip that out of the story and it wouldn't make a difference. I think they just literally needed some bullshit excuse for Tidus to disappear at the end of the game, which is stupid as fucking shit.
Yeah.
But other than that, pretty well written.
Yeah, Pikachu, I'm not familiar with that game. We're talking about Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy. It's a Final Fantasy game. They have numbers behind them.
I argue against Tactics having a good story. I think it's a lot like why certain people like Dune or Game of Thrones. I'm not saying they don't have good stories, but I think a lot of people confuse convoluted politics for good story. And a lot of people will be like, I like Game of Thrones. I think it has good writing because I'm always confused and I don't know what's happening because they're using a lot of fancy words and there's like 50 kingdoms doing shit. And they think it's like how certain people think like character evals or SYPs are better because they're longer and then they don't read it, right? Yeah, like it's the same thing.
We'll talk more about this, but Dune is excellent. Now, it does get crazy and convoluted, but the original work is excellent. I'm not a fan of Game of Thrones. I mean, I like Game of Thrones, but it's way too convoluted for its own. Anyway.
Again, I'm not knocking Dune. I'm just saying there's a good amount of people
out
there who like it.
Oh, I get it. There's a Lupinia we should cover.
Oh, yeah, right. This is a DFFOO podcast. Yeah. I forgot.
We'll talk more about this in the post show.
Just clip this and put it in the post show.
I'm not going to do that at all. So there are 2 sanctuary keepers. Their orb appears at 79% of their health. It's increased by 1 when the party has 0 debuffs. Increases when a player cancels a debuff by 15. So every turn they don't have a debuff, ticks up by 1. If you cleanse debuffs, you get 15. Obviously, this is highlighting Una, but there are other cleansers that do work as well. They are immune to Max Brave, Down, Burn, and all of their horrible debuffs. So, the big thing is with these idiots, they start the fight with a... Macnell is saying, again, you can check out the boss guide at DissidiaFFOO. The in-game description is very confusing. The orb actually goes up by 1 for each character that has 0 debuffs on them.
Clarification. Yeah. I did not
know that either. Because I was cleansing them. So I did not realize that. So that is good, and potentially a way around that as well. That's good to know. So they start with their recast ability. One of them starts with this horrible recast ability called Photon Wings, and that applies 5 debuffs on all of your party. That ignores debuff evasion, I believe, completely, and includes some pretty nasty debuffs, including a HP damage, a freeze debuff, a debuff, an enhancement down debuff, which prevents you from buffing your characters, blind, and HP attack disable. So the pretty horrible cadre of debuffs.
A lot of really cool debuffs for the first time, like EX Gauge Freeze.
Yep.
I thought was very cool. HP Silence. I think this is the first time we're fucking seeing that on our side. That was awesome. I love the new stuff they added, but I don't.
Once they get down to, I think, under 50% of their health, they will Kuraga. And then if you let them attack under like 29%, they will do that again. You can't avoid that second one if you kill them.
We didn't figure out when, but it is just added regularly into their rotation.
Yeah.
So it can happen several times under 50%, not necessarily under 29. It really is just a race at that point.
So in addition to the big photon wave and then mana breath, which also does some debuffs, at 79% and 49% of their health, they will hit you with aggravate, which is a special debuff, which basically gives them kind of a warp ability. If you have aggravate on your character and you take a turn, even a free turn, so if you have Core and you use one of his free turns, or Yuna and use one of her free turns, the boss will jump up and act again. So that can be a really nasty combo of you getting killed if you do not cleanse that debuff. So they are hard selling, and they do have an HP damage.
That's a cool debuff.
It's a really cool debuff. They are immune to it, unfortunately, so you can't throw it back with Yuffie. But so they are really, really selling cleansing here. Yuna is obviously MVP. Other ways you want to deal with this is with tanks, damage mitigation. You really difficult to kind of no turn this. It's probably possible. No boss turns. I'm not sure I've seen a no boss turn run, but definitely Yuna and I think Warrior of Light probably for damage mitigation, probably the easiest. If you want to try to get through this, the easiest. Yuna and Warrior of Light plus a solid damage dealer. Probably Vaughn is probably the easiest team is Yuna, Warrior of Light, and Vaughn to get through this. But there's plenty of other options. We've seen a lot of people do this a lot of different ways. All of the cleansers have been used. Yuna, Ceodore, Mog, Penelo. People have used Arciela, Kefka, Setzer, Eldnarsh. People have used, obviously Core is still broken. People have used Gladiolus. Galif, is Bosch? No, because they wiped the debuffs, or they wiped they're not dispel, but Bosch might be tough. I'm not sure I've seen any Bosch runs. There's a lot of options here. It is kind of a tough fight because we're not used to this constant need to cleanse, and you may not have a cleanse unit. Obviously, Bosch DPS might be rough, but you need to have some other things. The turn count's not super tight. It is a little tighter, isn't it? Is it 60?
It's pretty tight. It's 70. It's 70.
Well,
it's pretty
I did it in 25. It can't be that. No.
You son of a bitch. I'll kill you.
Can't be that hard, right? Super easy. I don't know why everybody's complaining about this one. But it's rough. It's rough. We're not used to bosses starting with an attack. We're not used to these actual debuffs. These aren't just like stupid generic debuffs. These are actual shutdown debuffs. If you bring Vaughn on your team and they hit that debuff, he can't hit any of his buttons besides the Brave Plus. So you're automatically you're automatically not being able to ramp up with the character you need to ramp up to. And so it's really the turn count is tight, yes. And if you hit that second Kuraga, it can be really, really tight. So
second, I saw like 6 of them.
What? 6? Well, that's not good. You shouldn't do that. So for Unilist runs, So Mino, any thoughts about this? Very tough fight, definitely. I don't.
Oh yeah, this is a hilarious fucking fight. Really shows who hasn't been paying attention or a veteran of the game for a long time. So I was discussing this in length with Clay, but I don't remember most of the conversation because again, I was very drunk today. So I'm reading back. Clay, I hope you don't mind that I'm bringing up the conversation, but he was expressing his frustration with I'm using Clay as an example because he's eloquent and he's a skilled player. So this isn't like a random person complaining. Clay's a TCC challenge regular. He's really good, and he was telling me his frustrations with his fight. First was he felt like it was an extremely synergy biased fight. Um, I think there have been a lot worse.
Oh, definitely.
I'm not saying this isn't a synergy biased fight. I'm just saying there have been worse. And we brought up examples of I know like it's beating a dead horse to bring up Lena EX, but
Oh yeah.
Lena EX. And then I said other than that, the early Lufanias were even worse because you didn't have calls to deal with this shit.
Yep.
At least you could do cleanse calls to easily get rid of some of this stuff.
Yep.
You didn't have calls in early Lufania and Lightning's Lufania. You had to bring like there were 4 or 5 viable characters you needed. I forgot what the orb was, but I remember the turn count was bullshit and the orb was something like lightning damage, and the only people that could handle it was lightning and
Yeah.
Raijin. I think you needed one of those. Uh, and yeah, no, but there have been worse. I feel like people are starting to notice now because gem counts are getting lower for the generation of players that started around Lufania or right before,
Mm.
for sure. Year out, gem counts are getting low. I know Clay said in his video, like he said maybe I'm only feeling this because for the first time the synergy is not an option, which is very true. Yes. It's getting bad, but I feel like with calls available and with a wider roster, um, the game can't be as restrictive as it used to be. I think we were talking back and forth about there's only 5 viable characters that can cleanse. Yeah, but I have seen I think all 5 of them run this in no synergy. Penelo, Seador, Mog, Balthier, right?
Yeah.
Not counting Yuna. And I've seen all runs with all of them. I've seen runs with only cleanse calls, and there are 2 other strategies you can go, guys, if you really don't want to deal with this. One is 6 framed buffs,
Yep.
means you never have to see those debuffs, and that is very easy to pull and good team building.
Yep.
First of all, Hope Call gives you 2 right off the bat. I'm sure there are other calls that you can do to milk that,
Yep.
and lots of teams that can really just throw. Fucking Goose ran oh my God, he ran Sabin, Cypher, and
Oh yeah. No turn the bosses.
somebody, and
Yeah.
he no
So
turned it with 6 frame debuffs.
yeah. So Macnell's saying I don't like the argument. Yeah, this is bad, but there have been worse. I hear what you're saying with this is not that, oh, this is bad, but there's been worse, that this is not really that bad. Yes, it's a tough fight, but we have a lot of different ways to approach it. Yes, it is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard selling Yuna. This fight is hard selling Yuna. She makes it a lot easier. But we have about half a dozen cleansers. So if you want to go cleansing, that's a route. You can go full buff party. You can go no turn. There are several different already. This has been out 24 hours. Already, there are several different ways to approach this without needing the featured character. So in that sense, it's it's really it's a difficult fight. It is hard selling the featured LDBT character, as it should. That's how the game works. But it is not super restrictive. So kind of in Black Nero's quadrants, I mean, this is really kind of, I think, in the ideal quadrant, right? It's a lot of boss mechanics, interesting boss mechanics, unique boss mechanics for us. We've never seen stuff like this before. And there seems to be a wide variety of characters that can approach this, and some different, I brought up the quadrants, some different, let me throw them up on the screen, some different, some different ways to approach it. It's not just you have to cleanse. You don't have to cleanse. There are other ways around it. So
Yes. And that's what I wanted to say. Thank you for bringing that, clarifying that. We're not trying to say there have been worse, so this is okay. What I'm trying to say is it's not as bad as it first seems, I suppose. And it seems like there's a slew of players running out of resources who cannot synergy stomp anymore. And then they're seeing this, and then they're doom posting, and then Lufania Plus is coming up, and we don't
that's
need
going to be real bad.
yeah, and we don't need a repeat QE situation. And this is what it is, right? This is what it is. I think BC talked about this on the ranting hour. I don't remember. I wasn't there for it this week. I think I saw like 10 minutes or something. But I think somewhere there was some conversation being said that like the fear mongering is knee-jerk reactions. The first 24 hours, the first night content drops. If people can't brute force it, they start complaining. And that's where the infamous you need Quistis for Quistis Lufania, you need Barts for T5, like like the real bullshit, right? Like as we said with Gladio, the Gladio fight was one of the fights QE called out, saying you need Sabin for this. There's no other way to do this. And then when it came, clearly there were lots and lots of ways to do it. And so we're just pointing out that if this is your first time running out of gems and not being able to do this, there's a lot of ways to do this fight. There's a lot. As I said, 6-frame debuffs, Macnill's saying that's even easier than bringing a cleanser. And then there's the cleansers, and then there's the calls, and then there's even, I don't think anyone else had to do this. I needed 8 debuffs so they couldn't regen themselves and make the fight super long. But no, yeah, just synergy bias. I don't know. I keep saying this since every fucking week. They're getting better at synergy bias. It is getting tougher to do it without synergy bias, but there are lots of ways. Just calm down, rethink your approach, look at call to arms, read the boss guides, think about it, dissect the fight. So yeah, that's right. The other thing people are bringing up in chat, and the other thing Clay wanted to express was he says it's just bullshit that they sell these characters that do 100% debuff evasion, and it says that in the skill name, 100% debuff evasion, and then they make skills that pierce through debuff evasion. While I understand the complaint 100%, again, I think for veterans like Mark and I, this is to be expected. First of all, this isn't our first time seeing guaranteed debuffs either. I think they've been around for a while. They're just rare. And the other thing is, this is it. This is the silver debuffs, gold debuffs, right? Like, if you think gold debuffs are forever going to be uncleansable, I've got a bridge to sell you somewhere, right? Like, this is the power creep. And games as service, you always have to keep evolving. You cannot rely on tried and true strategies. And there's always going to be, like, 100% dodge, right? And then guaranteed hits all over the place. Yep. Or this character becomes immortal, and then the orbs kill you. Like, this is really old news. I'm sorry to say this. I think it sounds a little callous, but it's really old news that nothing is going to work 100% forever. And you shouldn't, like, they're selling you the cleansers. Also, the HP silence is brilliant because the only cleanse that doesn't have an HP attack is Yuna's Esda. Everyone else is tied to an HP attack.
Yep.
Very funny. But yeah, that's all I got on this fight. Oh, launch immune fights. Yeah, people are saying imperil immune fights. Like, this is a thing, guys.
Well, we're over 2 hours. Do we want to talk about any of our topics, Mino? Or call?
Are we actually over 2 hours? Yeah. We started late. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, we're actually over 2 hours. So we have a couple things we wanted to talk about in terms of Setzer and Blue Armor. So did we show that?
Want to post show that?
Well, we're 2:15 on the stream, but the recording's the recording's 2 hours and 3 minutes. Jovial. So yeah, let's take that to the post show because uploading this after 2 hours gets a little hectic. So looking ahead, we have the Shinryu potential Agrius banner on the 6th, Root LC on the 9th, Dimensions End Transcendence Tier 4 on the 13th, a campaign with X-Death on the 17th, Zundays LC on the 21st, and Act 3, Chapter 4, Part 2 on the 24th. This has been Episode 165 of the Crystal Chronicles, recorded on September 2nd, 2021 for Mark Mino. Arrow was in chat with us here at the end. Do check out her Twitch and YouTube and support her and all of our friends. Good luck. Until next week, goodbye.